they go at it tactically correctly.
UNC and Virginia. Emmy Allen in goal on one side, Kayla White in the other. Two very talented keepers. The back lines in front of them make it hard for opposing offenses to score. And with that kick, we're underway. 50th all-time meeting between Virginia and Carolina. What do you watch early here, Jamie?
I think it's going to be interesting to see where the line of confrontation starts. And for Virginia, this is a good line, making sure tactically to wait for the moment when Carolina look as they do a back pass, and that's when Maggie Cagle, that's the visual cue to go, but Carolina do a good job of breaking the pressure.
Tar Heels coming, of course, off a home victory over Virginia Tech. And the Cavaliers entering after playing to the latest of their draws opening ACC competition on the road at Louisville. Play back into the box to Emmy Allen. Boy, the statistics for both of our keepers, they'll jump off the page at you, but it's just as much about the back lines that have been smothering to opposing attacks.
Yeah, both teams sparse and have been really tight defensively when referencing conceding goals. When you look at Carolina, 4 goals against, and for UVA, they've only given up 3 goals so far. So this is going to be a battle of who can try to break through. The game's first goal is going to be very imperative for both teams.
Cavaliers have outscored their opponents at a clip of 21-3 for UNC. It's 19 to those 4 goals you mentioned. And we're not gurus, but even we can do the math on that. 40 goals for these two against 7 allowed to their opponents. So how many opportunities will arrive tonight? One of the key questions. Brought back to Emily Moxley this side. Stepping right up and contesting that for Virginia is Guidry. Well, Steve Swanson has led Virginia to the tournament every year he has been on that sideline for UVA. Nearly a quarter century as the head coach. The coaching matchup in this one, an absolute delight when you think about the way both these individuals have put their fingerprints, not just on the college game, Jamie, but on the sport as a whole.
Yeah, you're not wrong. And you said we're not math gurus, but I'll let you try to do the math on that one, Jason, of these two coaches and how many career wins they have between the two of them. Two of the best coaches the college game has ever seen.
Yeah, the Coach of the Year honors, the championships, when you try to tally them up between these two, they will test the skills mathematically. That's for sure. And of course, everybody knows who is on that other side for North Carolina. The field in Chapel Hill bears his name, and Anson Dorrance leads his Tar Heels in here as #1 in the country.
Wonderful servant to the game and somebody who's dedicated their life to the sport, both on the men's and women's side. And as you can see, the winningest coach. It's quite remarkable that Anson is still going as strong as ever.
Tar Heels in search of national championship number 23. They have 22 of them all time. Now 21 that are designated NCAA championships, one of them before the sport was sanctioned. But 23, that's somewhat of an operative number in Chapel Hill, right? It's a number they keep a pretty close eye on. And that's certainly what the pursuit is about this year in 23. Something beginning to materialize perhaps for Virginia. Looking for a cross, and before it can reach the foot of McDermott, the prolific of the Virginia scorers, it's cleared away. McDermott, as we discussed in the open, 6 goals. That's tied for the ACC lead. Tied for second in the ACC in total points with 14, alongside her teammate Cagle. And it is that trio, McDermott, Cagle, Ross, that Jamie told you about, from whence the majority of the Virginia scoring has come.
When you're already starting to see the pressure that the front three are applying at times, those three will be on an island, because transitional moments are when you can get at the back three for Carolina. So there's going to be some times where Allie Ross, Meredith McDermott, and Maggie Cagle will have to do their work in 3-on-3 situations, even maybe 3-on-4 situations, but they're capable.
Virginia's effort to win the ball turned aside. One of the things North Carolina is so good at, you talk to those around this program, they pride themselves on as quickly as they may lose possession, snatching it right back. Here's one of those occasions as the Tar Heels work in the box. And the first test for Kayla White, who will smother this up, and there's a look at the Virginia keeper. Comes in tops in the ACC, and goals against average as well as saves percentage entering play tonight. 23 career wins to her credit, 14 solo shutouts for Kayla White to this junction in her Virginia career. McCormick up to contest that, but it's played long and toward the near side flag. So Emily Colton is located. But a goal kick coming for UVA. Mentioned Colton had 1 goal, 6 assists last year, led the team in 21 as an ACC all-freshman team member, had 7 goals to pace the squad. But again, you could see what happened during the sophomore campaign. They expect her to kind of reemerge as one of the key contributors again for the Tar Heels this year. Colton, such a key piece for UNC. Both teams kind of filling one another out early, but possession trending North Carolina. As a throw-in is coming for the Tar Heels to be handled by Moxley. I have to ask you, Jamie, and we just kind of brushed over it and referenced it in the open. The unique look, the 3-4-3, some have called it a 3-2-2-3 that UNC is running here. What does it provide Coach Dorrance and the Tar Heels?
Well, as we're looking at Colton, there's so much trust in the junior that tactically to start, right, she'll be sort of in the front right of the 4 in the midfield, but then she has the ability to go wide to the right area, and you've got...
Shot taken, and this is smothered up by Kayla White.
A good opportunity there. You just see quickly how in transition that midfield for Carolina can win a ball and quickly turn defense into offense. And so this is a good representation of just good movement that's able to create some space, and decent effort. But Kayla White's done the hard part to put herself in a good spot, and that's also Talia Stouty doing a good job of coming over, applying a little bit of pressure, forcing the shot to get off the foot a little bit quicker, and therefore the save is made. But just to wrap that point, Jason, about the midfield for her, that's just so good on the ball, and you pair her next to Moxley. They keep possession so well and win the ball back that allows Sentnor and Colton to be able to move about and kind of take what the game gives them. But watching Mez on the ball, she's one of the best passers at the collegiate level, and so that trust really allows that midfield 2 in front of them to really just shift from side to side wherever they see fit.
Have the confidence in Meza that you think about what Savvy King has provided us more than once already this season, introducing herself to ACC fans as the defensive player of the week in the conference. So you said it, when you're that stout from Emmy Allen forward, the flexibility provided there. There's a look at Savvy King, among the best defenders, not just in the conference, but in the country already in her maiden voyage through the ACC. Touch, and now at the top of the box, that kind of pinballs around off of a couple of different Virginia Cavaliers before it's cleared. Well, mentioned this is the 50th meeting between these two squads, and the series has trended heavily North Carolina, as you might expect over the years, but Virginia picking up that win in come-from-behind fashion in Chapel Hill a year ago. Great deal of confidence that comes with it. Interestingly enough, Jamie, Virginia trying to defeat North Carolina here at home for the very first time. As much success as they've had at Klockner, have never tasted victory against the Tar Heels here.
There are so many returning players that will certainly have that feeling from last year, whether that's a good feeling or a bad feeling, as Savvy King with a good timely intervention there. They'll remember that feeling at Dorrance Field last year, and well, you've been able to try to recreate that feeling, and Carolina will want to try to avenge that feeling from last year. All those little different storylines playing into tonight.
Already seen that 2-0 halftime deficit with the 3-2 win. Looked like there was a shooting window, but too much light blue there as Tar Heel blue stands in the way, and that caroms off. This work just outside the 6, and a left-footed clear will spoil Virginia's scoring chance here. In transition, Carolina. And it is turned aside. Palms up for Savvy King. She wasn't so sure, but the whistle as a foul call will reset things for UVA. You may be wondering, the last time number 1 was here, UCLA, September 7th, 2017. The 5th time in the Coach Swanson era that a number 1 ranked squad has rolled into Klockner Stadium. And of course, this is the first game North Carolina is playing as the number 1 ranked team in the country after BYU was upended by Utah State in surprise fashion. But then elevate the Tar Heels to the top spot following their match against Virginia Tech. Well, a reminder that on Tuesday, the Nothing But Net crew will look at every ACC school's upcoming basketball schedule. Tip-off right around the corner on Monday, November 6th. And they'll be breaking down the women from 7 to 8 Eastern and the men from 8 to 9 Eastern. That's coming your way only on the ACC network and the ESPN app. That's a Nothing But Net crew previewing basketball. Both these programs with tremendous basketball success over the years as well. And bat your eyes good. We were talking about how that Rookie of the Year honor you received was a couple of decades in the very recent past, right? Bat your eyes good. A month's going to be gone, and we're going to be seeing basketball happen around the ACC. It's on us. There is John Paul Jones Arena, the home of Tony Bennett's Cavaliers.
Sports in Charlottesville. You've got basketball around the corner, football, the voice of UVA football, John Freeman, doing a wonderful job with that as well.
Now, we're told that's Thomas Rhett's house tonight. That's the understanding of what's taking place in Charlottesville that may have made the parking a little more difficult for fans working their way into Klockner, but Tony Bennett and company
tenant for the evening, when you say so, Jason?
Tony Bennett and company will set up shop there very soon. Not far removed from national championship of their own. You know, 19, a big year here when you talk about the founding of the University of Virginia and how things worked out there. And of course, we mentioned it, this is 2023, and Tar Heel fans will tell you that that may hold something special for Tar Heel Blue. Only time will tell, but all the sports working their way into full swing now. Nearly 15 gone in this first half, and something brewing for Virginia. That push through and going far post and just off it. You heard that whistle as Virginia's scoring chance was coming together, and you saw what Allie Ross would like to do given the opportunity when the flag is not raised.
Inches away from being a wonderfully executed through ball. That's just really good patience in the end from McDermott to understand, waiting for the defender to bite and then waiting for that moment to try to slip it through. And that is a really good sign for this UVA attack. Just riding the line and just a half step too far in front of the line. Allie Ross. That's a good encouraging sign, though, that those two linking up so well, breaking lines right around the top of the 18.
And Virginia would like to hope visions of things to come. The snapshot that you witnessed there. Haven't mentioned it yet. Carl Coomer, Nicholas Seymour, Anthony Wolford, our referee and our ARs in this one tonight. Busy in the last several moments as whistles blow once more as we're inside 29 and a half remaining in this first half.
There's Avery Patterson. She had straight into an offside position, but that's a good run to just understand in that moment. Let's go for a race to the corner. Maybe could have gotten the pass just a touch quicker down into the line, because you want to try to give Patterson the ball early to let her go and create with her ability 1v1. It's nothing short of special, and then she gets on the left foot, and that's dangerous for any opponent.
She had scored in 3 consecutive matches against Arkansas, 10th-ranked South Carolina, and 12th-ranked Alabama ahead of the Virginia Tech contest at home. And this is fired away from distance, far side. No scoreless in that Virginia Tech contest. Broke that string of 3 consecutive for Patterson. Lamia coming in as Ryan will receive a breather.
Couple good passing sequence from Laughlin Ryan. She had one where she split a pair of defenders to be able to help spark an attack as well, and that rotation continuing to just be able to bring in a player of the quality of Lamia off the bench, the sophomore midfielder. She's been influential so far. 1 assist on the season, but of the 6 games that she has played, she has started all 6 of them. So on a different night, could have been in the starting lineup tonight. Comes in shortly after we kick things off.
On a night like tonight, you wonder, Jamie, just how deep you really go into the bench. I mean, you roll out best on best in a game that's critical to the championship pursuit in the ACC.
I think that's a chess match between the two coaches, isn't it? As good pressure from Carolina to force the ball being played out. I wouldn't expect there to be a ton of substitutions, but I think they will be calculated in understanding when to break up rhythms, when to make sure to be able to get certain players into positions that they can concede. Good job from Gidry to save that from going out. Yeah, I don't think tonight is a night when we'll go deep into the benches, but it'll be about more of the quality of substitutions as UVA wins a foul as opposed to the quantity of substitutions.
Well, and saw right there in the heart of your screen, Rabimbas, who notably in the starting lineup for the first time tonight, making her first career start. Among those youngsters, already a goal scorer on the year, had the 100th at Dorrance, interestingly enough, in the opener against Cal. Also scored against Gardner-Webb, which she played her season-high 46 minutes. Picked up an assist in that one as well, one of 3 of those on the year, but getting the nod for the first time in that group up top tonight with the start for UNC. Yeah, you talk about the chess match. Few surprises between these two. That's the one thing you get in this coaching matchup, in the matchup of these programs, a matchup of 2 teams picked to finish in the top tier of the ACC. Very few surprises between them. Pulls off the left foot and into the grasp of Emmy Allen. I mean, even those prospects that some programs may hide, you don't have that luxury when on one side there's the 4th-ranked recruiting class in the country, and on the other, the team that was the very top in that category. Impact players well documented. Virginia with a head of steam again.
That was a fantastic turn from McCormick.
McCormick sends it across. Comes right back to her. Chased down by Theo Rett on the far side. Know you've been impressed with her play and her time here at Virginia.
Absolutely. What a wonderful, smart soccer player. You can just see how the defense collapses for Carolina. So there's going to be pockets of space in those wide areas as they get closer to the goal.
And there is closer to the goal. A look that's turned aside by Emmy Allen. Well, we talked about those recruiting classes and how much of the youth has made the difference. 17 of the 21 goals for Virginia have come from the youth movement, from the underclassmen, and every one of the game winners.
That gives you so much excitement if you're a UVA fan or if you're Steve Swanson and staff, that there's going to be really high quality front three play with some serious contribution, not only this season, but a few years to come.
You can see popping out of the bug, just one of two ACC schools with underclassmen as the top three scorers. North Carolina just saw the other in Virginia Tech their last time out. The other thing you notice about North Carolina, the brutal nature of the schedule the Tar Heels have already played, and somehow they navigated it, still find themselves as the top-ranked team in the country. You have to love, Jamie, the way Anson Dorrance approaches it. He and his staff, as they detail it, get together, talk about who they think might have a shot to win the national championship beside the Tar Heels, make sure they put them on the schedule, and often decide to go take them on in a road environment just to make sure this team is as tough as possible when the postseason arrives. It's proved to be a very strong formula.
Yeah, this team is tested by the time the tournament comes around, and right now, as they sit at the #1 ranked team in the country, I think it's fitting. I think there's some other teams that are there nearby, but right now this Carolina team is playing some of the best soccer in the country.
Looking for the first impact moment of this one, but that's going to dribble into the grasp of Kayla White, who will let things clear. Here is the schedule that Coach Anson Dorrance and his crew have faced off against. I mean, on the road at South Carolina and at Alabama. And yes, you're going to be tested in the ACC, but then to step outside of your conference slate, go to Penn State to start things, as well as those other contests. I mean, this is a team that's seeing the best and bringing their best thus far. Deep run a season ago without the benefit of a couple of the key pieces. Now back to bring this team to full song with the latest restocking of that top-ranked recruiting class. You can contrast that to some degree, Jamie, with the fact that this is the first ranked opponent on Virginia's schedule tonight. Now, that'll likely change as you work your way on deeper into the season, but as they welcome in the first ranked opponent of the year, they go ahead and make it the #1 team in the country. Trying to take the early advantage on that group. Here's Virginia on the move behind Yapic, and that will carry him off near side.
It's not the first time that Chloe Yapic has set off on a lung-busting run. And that one is just being so smart about where the space is. As Carolina drops off, keeping a mind and an eye on the front three, Yapic understands and that the best option is for her to have a go, and it takes a wicked deflection. Could have gone anywhere on Emmy Allen's goal. It goes wide, and so UVA, they get an opportunity. It's interesting, they're putting two players right on Emmy Allen. You've got Ross and McDermott right there, so look for this ball to come in right into the 6 as they head to go up with Cagle's service. He's going to try to go right inside the 6 and try to be the first to react. McDermott obviously being one of the big targets in there.
Header clears for North Carolina on the corner earned by Yapic's third shot of the season, and this the 9th contest for Virginia. And that's going to work behind goal. Virginia earning the first opportunity corner-wise. 5 shots between these two teams thus far. North Carolina a slight advantage in that category, but it's UVA setting up shop at the moment.
See a lot of orange out tonight. The first 500 fans got an orange shirt to try to pack it out. It's a great atmosphere at Klockner Stadium.
One of the best, and so much success here for this Virginia team over the years. Comes all the way across. McCormick looking for her footing. She does play this just outside the box for side. Stouty lunged at it. North Carolina content to just let it roll beyond the touchline.
Substitutions now.
Inside 20 minutes remaining in the opening half as some subs come on. Ryan Carter going to give Meredith McDermott some relief. And Collier will come on as well. Teachable moments for Coach Swanson. Darlene coming on for North Carolina among the subs.
Also coming off, number 9, Meredith McDermott.
McCormick header on the throw-in. Now she'll chest that down. Emily Moxley with the North Carolina throw-in. Bimbus, Colton, Sentnor, the 3 shots for North Carolina thus far. McCormick and Yapich have tried it for UVA. 5 the total between these two at this juncture. Push nicely to Emily Colton. Theoret contests again, and she'll win the ball.
Theoret's going to have a big role tonight in winning those secondary balls, but then just notice how she checks her shoulders, understand that she can turn, okay, surveys the scene, keeps possession, now even dictating where to go, understanding when to stop. That's a lovely turn as well from Fumia.
It's going to eventually trickle all the way back there to Emmy Allen. You mentioned Theoret, not just her defensive ability, also serves as a catalyst for UVA. Is on cue, she'll punch this with a left foot forward to McCormick, and a couple of assists picked up in the VCU contest back on September 3rd to open the month at Theoret.
Close it off, Maya! Close it off!
Now deciding to dribble right through and thread the needle. Off Moxley's foot, right in the middle, to Macy Bell. To be chased by Yapich once more. But you look at North Carolina too, Jamie, and you think about how many of these players for the Tar Heels, and certainly true to some degree for both these teams. You see further subs working their way on, including Bruner for Virginia. And that many of these players, relegated to midfield assignments or handling business on the back line that may very well be in some of those attacking units. Were they on a different roster? Were they in a different program around the country? I mean, there's that kind of scoring ability from beyond just those frontline headliners.
Well, I think that shows some versatility, doesn't it, right? To be able to understand what the group is, and that's part of the responsibility of the coaches, to get the best out of players, and understanding some players do their best actions in the final third. Some are able to play in tighter spaces. Theoret in the middle of the park, I mean, that is just incredible skill to be able to receive under pressure, keep possession, and then pick that pass out.
At the end of the sequence, it's Allen's. Long chase. And Lacey McCormick opts to work with Kayla White. Well, the Week 4 lineup of ACC Network football, as good as any. Starts on noon Saturday with Syracuse hosting Army. Then Boston College squares off against Louisville, and will cap the night with 20th ranked North Carolina and Pitt. All 3 games also available on the ESPN app, so you can watch them anywhere. Quite the trio of contests available to you on the ACC Network as well as the app. Football in full swing now. And another busy weekend, of course. Cavaliers home tomorrow night. As they welcome NC State to Charlottesville. And you just heard what Mac Brown's crew will be busy with in that televised contest before the weekend is done. Lofted up, one on a header for Carolina. Meza again. And Virginia forward, just out of the reach. And you saw the body language tells the story as they tried to play that in the direction of Maggie Cagle.
Well, Cagle's not far off from being able to get on the end of that. She would have been right in on goal to Emmy Allen.
She's replaced by number 26, Kate.
Well, we talk so much about the youth movement. One of the reasons Virginia has been so pleased to get that kind of production immediately from fresh faces. They lost Godfrey, Rouse, Dawson already in the early part of the season. Those are some major absences. When you put them alongside of Spanstra and Jared and Hopkins and those who departed the program after their time here was done, you factor the injuries in. A lot of Cavs fans were scratching their head a bit, but the Who's pleased that the freshmen and sophomores have answered the bell. That footed clear just as North Carolina tried to place it in the danger zone. Out to snatch it is Kayla White. And she'll bring it down out of the sky harmlessly.
Textbook goalkeeping from White to be able to command the box. And, you know, Jopic and Gidry, they've switched sides. They've flip-flopped. That time, not enough pressure on the service. Was able to float it up, but Kayla White was able to do what she does best. And so far, this Cavalier defense has looked really good. Haven't given away any clear-cut opportunities. Good win, though, for Meza.
You know, you think about as Jenny gets set to reset here, you get a look at Meza. Attrition is part of it, and everybody battles through some things. Remarkable the run North Carolina made, as we said, at the end of the year last year without some of the key pieces. But to lose that trio early of Godfrey, you think about Rouse, and for Virginia to have those type setbacks out of the gate, you think about what could have been, but you again underscore the performance of players like this. McCormick fires away, and there again is Emmy Allen. Plenty of energy on the backside of this as Virginia threatened once more.
That is so good from Emmy Allen. McCormick breaks to the line and does a good job of having this dip right before, but Emmy Allen tracks it so well and gets a fingertip to push this wide. That is a tremendous save at full stretch. McCormick was certain when that had left her foot, that was destined for the bottom corner. Wonderful build-up, wonderful attack, and that is a magnificent save from Emmy Allen.
After it's swatted away by Allen, Virginia with the corner. And header that finds the top of the goal. Evened up the shot category at 3 apiece with the latest look from Virginia. Patterson, by the way, out of this grouping for North Carolina. As Mia Oliero is into the contest. You can see for Virginia, Ella Carter on. You know, Oliero giving a bit of relief to Patterson here, an interesting story. Her dad, a part of the training staff for the Tar Heels. So many former players talking about how much investment that family has made in the program. And when you're around the program for a while and you end up with a daughter playing in the program and the name is Mia, it certainly has visions of the stability and the foundation of one of the great programs in the country. And speaking of the Tar Heels, here they come. Shot right at Kayla White, and she'll knock it down. No harm done. It stays scoreless.
And White just doing the hard work before the shot even leaves the foot of Oliara, and that is good positioning from Oliara to be able to be in that spot, and Guidry's trying to recover, and that pressure forces Oliara to try to rush the shot, and Kayla White's in the right position, makes a really good save.
Well, it's not often that on cue you get that kind of impact from a player having just entered the contest.
We'll take those wins as commentators, right?
Yeah.
For all the commentators' curses that we normally have.
Yeah, we usually are on the opposite side of all that, right, Tammy? So you have a player come in and make that type of contribution right away with the fourth shot for North Carolina on cue. You have to relish the moment. Tar Heel's going to play this back, and it'll eventually come over to Meza, who will have options. Inside 8 minutes in the opening half. Top-ranked team in the country in Charlottesville. First time that has happened since UCLA was here in 17, and North Carolina taking that #1 ranking for a spin after it was freshly attached to their name, following a recent win over the other ACC team out of the Commonwealth at home in Chapel Hill, taking down Virginia Tech. Cavaliers not only trying to beat the #1 team in the country for the first time since they did so against Florida State in 15, but also trying to beat a team wearing those familiar colors right here at Klockner Stadium. The team in Tar Heel blue not having fallen to this Virginia program in the history of the series, now at 50 games between the two. Further substitution, closing moments of the half, some fresh legs called upon on both sides. Everything even at 4 shots apiece, a couple on goal for UNC, 1 on goal for Virginia. Those 2 saves for White and 1 big one for Allen. Sappy King initiates from that back line, and now the Tar Heels go on the attack. Spoiled by a Talia Stouty header. McCormick stepped in there, and here's Stouty again. That duo working to keep UNC outside the box. Crossed that in the direction of the face of the goal, but Kayla White read it beautifully, and it comes away in her hands. Saturday morning, 11 a.m. Eastern, the ACC Huddle crew going to get you ready for the day in Pittsburgh. 60-minute pregame show leading into Army and Syracuse at noon. They'll also have halftime shows, pre- and post-game shows throughout the day. And they're back at 6:30 to wrap up the afternoon with highlights and analysis. Get you set for North Carolina Pitt. That's the 8 p.m. kickoff. You want to stick around after the game as well for full post-game wrap. All of that coming your way from ACC Huddle this Saturday, keeping you up to speed on all the action around the conference.
She's replaced by number 4,
Mackey. That subgroup. Just under 4.5 remaining the opening half. You talk about the ACC and all the sports ongoing. How about the impact of the conference a year ago, Jamie? 5 of the teams in the Elite 8 out of the ACC. We could talk about the schedule North Carolina has played in the non-conference portion, going on the road to so many ranked opponents, but who they see in conference play now, speaking to the strength of the league, 5 out of 8 from the Elite 8 a year ago, ACC teams.
The Elite 8 looked like regular season play in the ACC and the ACC tournament for most. If you blinked, you 3 different phases of the season and 3 different portions of the year where you had similar opponents. It goes to show just the quality from top to bottom within the ACC conference, and each and every year it just seemingly gets better and better and deeper and deeper.
Well, in that North Carolina FSU game that's coming up on Sunday, that we'll talk a little bit more about during the intermission. Who hasn't been waiting to see the newest edition of that after the way things shook out a year ago? Last 3 and change to take for a spin in a first half that has been played, when you look at the numbers, fairly evenly between these two thus far, Jamie.
Yeah, I think this is probably a fair reflection of the game, and I think numbers-wise will tell you a similar story to that. I think there's been some really good football that's been played. I mean, this has been about as entertaining of a 0-0 match as you could have. Just good soccer, nobody giving away any real mistakes, and when teams turn over, I mean, that's good recovery from Carolina in that instance. But UVA winning this higher up the field. They're starting to, as you mentioned, to that battle of attrition and spacing tactically up the field. Look at where their starting points are now. That's a good sign for Steve Swanson's side.
Both teams having used 7 off the bench in this first half. See what kind of impact it makes in the closing moments of our first 45. Attempting to use the speed to work around the far side with Sentnor, but it is covered up by Kayla White once more. A couple of saves to her credit thus far. White, who's working on what she would like to see turn out as a 15th shutout of her career and a 24th W all time. Opposite a talented keeper and a stellar back line on the other side. Now, you want to stick around at halftime. We'll look at some of the defining moments from the last week of ACC play, as well as glance ahead to some of the key matchups this weekend, and have stats and highlights from this competitive first half in our top 25 showdown. Final minute of the first half. Slowed. Bruner crosses that into the middle. Here's a left-footed chance, just sails high. As Virginia tried to take the final minute of the half for a spin, but in the end, Miller's effort well above the crossbar.
Oh, easily the best opportunity we've seen in this first half, and it fell fortuitously to Miller. And if it wasn't for Emmy Allen being alert to come off her line and close down. This could have very easily turned the tides and changed the halftime team talks for both managers, but instead we stay 0-0 after that big miss.
3, 2, 1.
Tegan Miller on that late push, serving to give Virginia a +1 advantage in the shots category. You've been in a lot of those locker rooms, Jamie, at the professional level, certainly at your time in a couple of years at UNC, in which we talked about it as a young player. You made your mark on this league, on the ACC. And you got two of the best in there communicating with these student athletes. What was it like, the conversations that took place between Coach Swanson and his crew, Coach Dorrance and his crew? What was it like at the halftime?
Oh, by the way, this is why you come to the ACC, is to play in tightly contested matches like this, right? So you know that both these managers and coaches are going to say that there's not going to be very many mistakes. You need to try to limit your mistakes, and when the other team turns the ball over in an advantageous position, go quick in transition, because if you give each one of these two teams time, they're so good defensively and so disciplined, they get back into their positions, and then they become very difficult to break down. So look for those transitional moments to be those visual cues for both teams to try to go and press in transition to try to get the game's first goal.
Virginia owning possession to begin the second half. Down in the neighborhood of McDermott. And you see Savvy King working her way this direction. King, of course, among the best defenders in the ACC. More than once the Defensive Player of the Week in the conference already. ECNL U19 champion. Parlaying that into a strong start at UNC among that back grouping. Talked a couple of times tonight about Meza. Coach Dorrance making it very clear in talking about both King and Meza that the maturity level they've already reached in this game. National team type level. That's the respect that he has for that duo who serve as catalysts for UNC. Flag raised as Sentnor was out in front of the Cavaliers.
That's the deeper lying run that makes it through and causes some unbalance, right? So from Sentnor being able to go and press and to try to stretch the legs a little bit, starting a little bit higher up at the beginning of the second half here, but that's certainly a good indication. Carolina maybe playing a little bit more direct into those channels with some runs, but you talk about King as a freshman. I mean, it's frightening how high the ceiling is for this young player. She is so fun to watch, plays so far beyond her years, and then Meza in the middle of the park just dictates the pace of play. The senior is one of the best at just being able to get on the ball and being able to close down, make the right decision. That battle between Deorette and Meza has been something to watch through the first almost 50 minutes tonight.
Yeah, and so many things for those two that will not show up in the stat sheet when all is said and done, but are just as critical to the team's fortunes nonetheless.
That is very well said and very accurate, Jason. Those two just do the little things right, and you have so much confidence in what they do. You see them going up against each other, Meza getting the better of it, starting this attack now. Patterson's in.
And it's a foot race. The foot race in the end going to be won by Kayla White. She decided to disembark, comes out and punches this aside.
That is so good from Kayla White. Incredible IQ and reading of the game to understand the pace of that, to time it and get it right.
That's a go for broke moment, and she won the gamble. Comes out near side. Rose says that's up above the crossbar for good measure. Yapich puts a strong left foot into it to clear it. Well, things heating up in the beginning stages of our second half. Physically as well, as bodies go to the turf. Quickly up off the pitch, and a transition opportunity coming perhaps. Looking for a window, punching one with the left foot is McDermott. But not enough on it to get it by Emmy Allen.
Almost got fortunate with Macy Bell slipping in that attack, and McDermott, had to go one-on-one in that moment, and it was a good job of not overcommitting and making it a difficult angle for her to strike. But this is a frantic and exciting pace right out of the halftime whistle. It's been end-to-end stuff inside the first 5 minutes.
Well, you never know in a contest like this. Just when that one key chance is going to arrive, both teams feeling like it may have been on the horizon in the first 5 minutes of the second half. Only serves to run the shot total a little higher for UVA. At a 6-4 split now between these two. Headers, that's going to be dribbled out by Una McCormick this way. Flamia punches ahead to Ross. And speaking of Flamia, knocked down to the pitch. And here's how busy Kayla White has been of late.
This is such a fantastic angle to understand. Stouty was doing everything she could, but as Patterson gets beyond, she understands she has to let her go. So then Kayla White comes out and times that to perfection. And that was an inadvertent shot from De La Rose that ended up finding the face of the crossbar, but Kayla White was tracking it. And it's so consistent from Kayla White. Game in and game out. And you could say the same about her counterpart, Emmy Allen, for Carolina, but those two, they are so steady, and it gives you a whole different level of confidence as you're one of the 10 field players in front of your goalkeeper that you know will consistently make the save. And in that moment, as Stouty gets the ball played in behind, and Patterson had won the foot race, but Kayla White was there at the right moment and preserves the shutout.
9th nationally goals against average, 14th nationally in saves percentage coming in. That's where Kayla White stood in the grand scheme of things. We told you the couple of categories we referenced, categories in which she's at the head of the class in the ACC. Already notching a couple of saves. In fact, there's a pair for each of our keepers so far tonight. Boy, that closed up quick with Cagle on the ball. The reaction from fans here at Clocker telling you everything you need to know as Virginia earns its 4th corner. All of the corners tonight belonging to UVA at this point. The Klockner bleachers as the home fans get in behind the 22nd ranked team in the country. This play just outside the box to Theo Red. She'll send that in, but it'll elude everyone and is picked up by Emmy Allen for a goal kick. Talking about Thea Red, just how much energy with which she plays. Love the comment that was attributed, and I think it could really be said of both sides, attributed to legendary North Carolina head coach Anson Dorrance, that he wanted his players to play like a comet, that he's got such depth on that bench and on that roster that when you're in the game, burn brightly like a comet for as long as you can. The Theoret comes to mind when you think of that on the Virginia side of things. You've talked about Meza and the way she's played in that vein tonight. These players getting maximum effort in, yes, an early ACC contest, but a key ACC contest between two teams picked to finish in the top 3 in the league nonetheless. Here's a shot taken, and there's North Carolina's first goal to take command in Charlottesville. How about this? A back and forth between these two, and finally something materializes for Centnor and the Tar Heels.
And just like that, Carolina devastatingly quick on the counter. As Virginia will meet up to try to correct some of the issues and reassess what's just happened, but this is just really good. Decisive movement, sells the fake. Ali Centnor, the redshirt sophomore, creates the space, gets a little bit of room from McCormick, and then it's a combination of power and precision. Goes to the far post. It was going to take something special to beat Kayla White. And you've just seen something special from the left foot of Ali Centnor.
Well, found the back far corner, as that was all Centnor. Double-digit goal scorer. Can Virginia answer in transition? Tried to sneak one top shelf and see if they could equalize almost immediately. But this works above, and it stays 1-0 Tar Heels. Boy, those things coming together almost
really
in succession.
Yeah,
as you see Flamia take a look at one here.
Yeah, Flamia just reads the game ever so well and cuts off the passing lane. And that's just instinctual, right? That's not Steve Swanson saying, well, in this moment, when they take this touch, you're going to do this. I don't know. That's just understanding that this is the moment where I'm going to step forward, cut off the pass and the outlet one, and then just read it. And it's ever so close from picking out the top corner. Almost the instant response for the Hoos.
The immediacy of it really catches your attention. Right at 18. And here's the goal scorer, Centnor. Sends it back into the box for North Carolina, just ahead of the whistle. Trying to get it back in striking distance to double the advantage. Centnor, who scored 10 goals a season ago, was a double-digit goal scorer. Has provided the only scoring thus far tonight for North Carolina. One of those players having overcome some injury. And, you know, in talking about Centnor's game, one of the things people around the North Carolina program discuss is her ability to strike from distance. Lives up to that billing. On this night, as in the 55th minute, she has given North Carolina the lead. Off the foot of Patterson. As Lacey McCormick looks on ahead of Collier going back to work. Rest with Kayla White. To look at both these teams, and obviously the level of competition begins to really thicken as you head into conference play. Those goals allowed numbers starting to climb a little bit more than in the first handful. But here's Virginia with something brewing once more. Just before McDermott could turn, it was taken away. Peruta there to do the honors. Open real estate. Cross toward the middle. Little header for North Carolina, and then a right-footed clear. Evelyn Shores.
That was a tremendous ball from Collier. That is such a good ball from Collier. She'll go and get a break now, but really, really good from the freshman to get to the end line and serve that in. With the 3 up top, one of those 3 have to be present in the box to try to get on the end of that.
You get a great look at Colliers. She explains that most recent sequence. Goppage picks it up for the throw-in. Virginia having outshot North Carolina 7-5.
UNC substitutions coming on.
Tar Heels with the second half goal. That is the difference maker thus far. More subs. As noticeably Meza among those coming off to catch her breath. But one thing you notice in the substitution sequence as it transpires, around 30 minutes remaining here, for the headlines that go to the direction of the coaches, the head men, Coach Dorrance, Coach Swanson. See so many who make up those coaching staffs. They're using these early conference season moments to communicate that one adjustment that may make the difference before the year is done. As nothing like these game action communications, particularly when you're dealing with so many young players. You know, we've talked about the impact of young players on both sides, from that back line for North Carolina to that striking group for Virginia. It's hard to remember when they've had so much early success, Jamie, that many of these players are still on their first year on grounds here, on campus in Chapel Hill, and there's so much teaching left to do so that they reach that ultimate ceiling that exists for these top-ranked classes.
That's right. This is where experience is being gained in these moments right here, these moments of adversity, whether you're Carolina on the road, a difficult place to play at Klockner Stadium, or if you're UVA, you welcome in the top team in the country, and you're going toe-to-toe with them. It's been one opportunity that Sentnor has been able to create, and she took it clinically. And right now you're seeing how the adjustments are being made. Both coaches made their adjustments at half, and we had a really, really fast and lively start to the second half. Carolina got their goal, and now you get the opportunity to reassess, make some changes, make some substitutions to then try to talk about how you want to approach the final 28 minutes or so of this match. And I think now you'll start to see some of the familiar faces be able to, try to have their impact as the game starts to wear on. But now these are the moments you desperately want, the early days in the careers for some of these players. But these are some lasting memories as Carolina try to look to avenge last season's loss at home to UVA.
And here is Patterson. Crosses this. Turnaround. No window there for Sentnor, who has the lone goal scored to this point. Forward by Della Rose. Patterson lays this out beautifully. Major battle for it. Won by that Virginia back line. Primarily Lacey McCormick. Pulling up just a bit after looking as if she was ready to attack that with Sentnor one more time. It's off of McDermott before it rattles around. Eventually to the feet of King. Just a bit of a touch too strong there, and it'll be a Virginia throw in. played that long, steadied by Evelyn Shores. After Una McCormick wins it, giving back her direction. Ross used Flamia to come all the way across to Yapich. Cagle to throw in. Bit of a back and forth until it sorts out to Evelyn Shores. But nearly able to take that away was Yapich. Ryan on. You saw Carter there, who's coming in as well. Flamia also working her way to the bench area. Responsible for one of the 7 shots for UVA.
UNC substitution into the match, number 22, Mia Oliario.
Only Una McCormick with a couple of looks. Everybody else limited just a single shot on the Virginia side. Turning in.
Number 5,
Playing this long. Theorette. Going to be a long run for Carter, but assessing the situation and realizing there is plenty of time, Allen comes out and grabs it. Well, a reminder, Tuesday, Nothing But Net crew looking at every school's upcoming ACC basketball schedule. Season tips November 6th, and they'll be breaking down the women's slate from 7 to 8 Eastern, the men from 8 to 9 Eastern, only on the ACC network and the ESPN app. Well out in front is Evelyn Shores, flag raised, North Carolina offside.
The freshman George is having a good spell here, some good minutes she's putting in, and that time just strays into an offside position, but good combination play and good looking to break lines, and that's what's needed. I'll keep the freshman getting more and more minutes now, playing in her 8th match, already contributing as well with 3 goals, 2 assists on the season, so instantly coming in and fighting for minutes when a difficult group to break into, and there's a turnover. That's well read and well picked out defensively.
Cavaliers stepping up in the midfield, chasing this to the touch line. It will be out and belong to the Tar Heels. Theorette to Stouty. North Carolina squad with 240 conference wins all time. Facing the ACC, those 22 championships. Leading at 1-0 here. Virginia looking for an equalizer with 22 and change remaining. Not to be just yet. Been success for the Tar Heels in the ACC. Now looking for more success in this one. Guess who? Patterson goes right at White, but she was equal to the challenge.
Patterson was a player we talked about before the ball even kicked off tonight as somebody who needed to have an impact for Carolina, and she is really starting to find that in the second half. And this is a good opportunity. She had the one earlier where she got him behind, where Kayla White was able to come out and close down the angle, and this time pressure, the tracking back forces the shot off to go a little bit quicker, and that is really, really good defensively, tracking back to rush the effort from Patterson.
Patterson notching her first shot of the night. Virginia looking for a transition chance. Slowly out toward it.
King read that well because Laughlin Ryan was right there to be able to try and get on the end of that cutback, and King just read it so well.
Patterson again, who came in, the leader among the strikers for UNC, just took her first shot a moment ago, sends this toward the middle and right at the top of the 6. It looked as if that cleanup moment might be difference making for North Carolina, and Sentnor looking to double her pleasure on the night. But it was not to be just yet as it stays 1-0.
Corner kick to the Tar Heels.
Tremendous 1v1 skill to create the space to get the cross off, and Sentnor can't get her feet sorted on the first one, but inventive with the back heel effort. It ends up getting deflected wide. Just a little step over to create the space. It's all you need from Jopic, and then the first one really was one that a player of Sentnor's quality would expect herself to be able to connect with, but then Stouty coming over, the combination with White to save.
Yeah, it looked like it rattled off of him there when all was said and done, Jamie. That second try for Sentnor, who has scored to this point the only goal in the contest in the 55th minute. Here's another promising trip down the field for Virginia.
7.
So North Carolina with it stolen away. Deflected, it would appear, and it rests in Kayla White's arms as it was simply lofted up in her direction. Talking about the success for North Carolina, you think about that number 22 on her jersey. You mentioned the 22 national championships, 21 of them in NCAA competition. One of those won by the Tar Heels before the sport was sanctioned, but also 22 tournament championships in the ACC for the Tar Heels. And 28 times they have participated in the ACC final, including that runner-up finish a season ago. That's been the dominance of this squad. Trying to come into Charlottesville, win their latest at Klockner Stadium tonight. And up 1-0 with now under 18.5 to play. But creating success, one thing, but sustain it over the decades. The way the Tar Heels have, I'll say it again, to the tune of 240 that they're hoping after tonight, plus conference victories and all those championships. Just speaks to the impact of, and we said it earlier, the legendary head coach of the Tar Heels. You know, when the field bears your name, that speaks volumes. And he and his crew chasing number 23 all time in 23.
Yeah, very staggering numbers when you look at it, and there's very few compliments higher than having a stadium and a field named after you. But Anson Dorrance, well deserving of it, has meant so much to the soccer community, both locally in Chapel Hill, but also domestically, internationally, and still continuing to do so. And he's got his team playing some exceptional soccer tonight at a very difficult place to play.
So I got to ask you, does it surprise you as all as just a moment taken to make sure everything is in order equipment-wise, particularly for Bell? Does it surprise you as all with the slate that North Carolina has played, that the places they've gone on the road in the first portion of this season, that you look up now as we work toward the latter stages of the month of September and the Tar Heels are once again the #1 team in the country?
Surprised, no, but I think that you can really look at it and say they've done a really good job of navigating some very difficult matchups, and I think that's what's probably got to be the most pleasing for Anson Dorrance and his staff, is that this young group have done so well.
Well, just trying to get set, couldn't get turned toward the goal the way she would have liked, and Maggie Cagle will end up seeing this go wide to the far side.
Yeah, good.
As Virginia tried to equalize with 16:50 plus left to go. Yeah, you mentioned the tough schedule and what they've played. I mean, when you begin by going on the road, top 10 team in the country in Penn State, and most recently head to South Carolina and Alabama, and we showed it to you earlier, and it's just going to continue to be so on this North Carolina roster, not shying away or from taking this roster anywhere to play as tough a schedule as you're going to see. Battle tested already, these young players for the Tar Heels. Far side, Carter was in the vicinity. Stays with UVA. Before anybody can turn around with thoughts toward the goal at the top of the box, Tar Heels say no thanks once more. This is run all the way out here to Patterson. Emily Colton had some help. Patterson buys a little time, and then this is lofted in the general direction, as it'll end up resting with White. As see that technical area for North Carolina.
Substitutions coming off. Number
Darlene
18, Bella Simber. She's replaced by number 5.
of note working in.
Also coming off, number 14, Kai Hayes.
As Hayes among those coming off
by number 24, Talia Della Peruta.
with this group.
To your point a moment ago, Jason, about, is it a surprise that they're number one? I think that they have such a strong, deep squad. They returned 9 starters, but then they reloaded with a wonderful underclassmen group that is starting to really contribute going forward. But, playing the ACC, you wouldn't be surprised.
Collision, and it's White who's able to punch this aside. She'll have time to recover, as Virginia's defense was mostly set, and then the shot from distance all the way to that back fence.
Emerson Elgin did not miss by much, and Kayla White, looks like that was a heavy collision she had with McCormick as she tracked back. Those two laying it out there, understanding that they had to make a play on it to try to keep this at a 1-goal match. And yeah, McCormick is as tough as they come. So if she's hurting, that collision had to really have some lasting effects.
Also coming off, number 5, Lachlan Ryan.
Yeah, the inside the Commonwealth product needing just another moment.
Jill Flavia.
Here's Lacey McCormick. Still down in contact with a pitch.
Sorry, Jason, as we talk about just sort of the competitiveness, and we've talked about it time and time again, of just how good and strong the ACC is from top to bottom. I think that's why, as we sit 9 games in for Carolina, 8 games coming into tonight for UVA, for either one of these two teams to be unbeaten and to be able to navigate the strength of schedule, the difficult opponents you play, and as you get into ACC play, it only gets more and more difficult. That's why I think it's, these kind of matches where anybody can beat anybody in this conference on any given night. And so I think the fact that these two teams have consistently been able to perform well, and as they remain undefeated going into ACC play with a game in hand for UVA, having that draw in their last match against Louisville, and Carolina be a 1-0 in conference play, you start to think about how being able to win week in and week out is just so difficult. And that's why UNC are deserved a #1 ranking right now in the country.
You see that collision one more time down near the goal. White just coming out, trying to get something on it to punch that away. And in the end, the worst of it going Lacey McCormick's direction. But it's good to see her up and moving off as the training staff for Virginia, having tended to McCormick.
UVA substitution coming off, number 11, Lacey McCormick.
Now, this was the moment in the 55th minute for Centenor, putting North Carolina out front 1-0.
Centenor does a really good job of just pulling away from Theoret, goes one-on-one with McCormick, and then from a tight angle. That is a stunning finish to the far post with enough power to beat White, and that was in the 55th minute. That's how we stand here with just under 14 minutes to play. UVA starting to throw more and more numbers forward. They're going to get a little bit more direct with their attack. Carolina are going to have a big task defensively to try to withstand the onslaught of attacks from UVA as this game starts to wind down.
Well, in the conversation we've been having about North Carolina being back at the #1 spot, obviously, after BYU upended by Utah State and opening the door with the work North Carolina has done the early part of the season. That entire conversation built not on the fact that this North Carolina team was in any way less than capable of being #1 in the country. It was more a nod to the brutal schedule that Coach Dorrance and his staff placed out in front of this roster. And again, as you said, latest of the top-ranked recruiting classes in the country to help fill the gaps, and so many of the key contributors back from a season ago, and you know what the standard is in that locker room and around the program in Chapel Hill. But that whole conversation, to be clear, just a nod to how well North Carolina has navigated a brutal stretch to begin the year that is so often the case for the Tar Heels, to ready this team for what matters most, and that's what we saw from them a year ago, another deep run in the tournament. Once more, the favorites in the ACC. That got dangerous for an instant or two before White finally punched it aside. Theoret lofts this up. Guidry, and then a quick turnaround from Cagle. That rolled up. Somehow Theoret able to keep it alive. The closing speed of Savvy King on display once more. Talk about Savvy King. Easy to see why so many of those Defensive Player of the Week honors have come our way. Able to close down space quickly. Above the goal. Virginia having mustered 8 shots tonight in this one, led in that category for a while. North Carolina taking the lead in that category and where it matters most at 1-0 now. Well, tomorrow's ACC PM with Mark Packer, Taylor Tannenbaum coming to you from Pitt, as the prep for the college football Saturday ahead is highlighted by the 20th ranked Tar Heels and the Panthers. All starts at 4 Eastern. And that game, of course, will be right here on the ACC Network Saturday night, an 8 p.m. kick for Mac Brown and company. Meza back in there. I know that is to your delight, Jamie. Fun one to watch for sure.
Yeah, wonderful player. Good weight on this entry pass.
A couple of defenders there for UVA. Enough disturbance that there was no clear path toward the goal. Chased down eventually by White.
You know, it's interesting, though, with the player profile that Meza has. She does a really good job of winning the ball, reading the game, and dictating the pace of play. But as we get closer to the end of the game, this is going to be a difficult task. At just 5'4", there's going to be some physical aerial duels that is going to come through the middle of the park. And Meza is going to try to use her soccer IQ to not try to get into too many of those physical battles, but to be able to get on the ball, to be able to connect passes, be able to break lines, break pressure. And I think that's why for a long stretch there in the middle portion of the half that she was on the bench, because the game was going back and forth in the middle of the park and was getting pretty physical in there. So now for the final 10 minutes, she's going to try to come see this out and try to use her intelligence to just tick off every second possible.
Well, I mentioned earlier North Carolina making that deep run a year ago despite not having some of the key pieces down the stretch. She, Meza, and Bell both out at the end of the year last year. And North Carolina still there when the dust settled on that deep run. You think about She, King, who we've talked so much about, and Bell having taken away all but one of the Defensive Player of the Week honors handed out by the ACC so far this year. So having that duo, Meza and Bell, out and still being able to make the run a season ago really speaks to the depth on the North Carolina roster. And having her back along with Bell back, and of course the addition of Savvy King has raised the eyebrows of everyone around the conference as they've continued to garner those Player of the Week honorees. Carter in for UVA. Collier, who you saw there, also coming in as well. 8 minutes to which to work for Virginia, down 1 to North Carolina on the strength of the 55th minute goal from Sentnor.
Into the match, number 26, Maya Carter. Number 12, Anaya Collier. Number 7, Una McCormack.
Well, earlier you had seen Maya Carter coming in replacement of Meredith McDermott. Now both of them on the field at the same time. So that's a different look to try to get more numbers going forward, a clear signal of intent from Coach Swanson.
Go time for UVA. Carolina doubling up the Hoos in shots in the second half, and the total climbs a little further, though Kayla White will turn it aside.
Get him up! Get him up!
You know, for the longest time, Virginia led in that category after that back and forth first half. But it has trended North Carolina in the second half to the tune of a +2 advantage. White now 4 saves tonight in the matchup for UVA. Cavaliers welcoming in the #1 team in the country on this night for the first time in a handful of years. You got to look back to 17, and we talked about it. Virginia was trying to do something they had not done and upending the Tar Heels here. Virginia won this matchup a year ago, coming from behind. They trailed 2-0 in Chapel Hill, and on the strength of 3 second-half goals, snatching away victory. Going to need another comeback, this time at home, and it's going to have to come in the last 5:50 here at Klockner. Punched out there in the direction of Sentnor once more, and White will have to chase it around behind the goal.
There's no problem having that effort, but when your momentum is carrying you away from goal, you're less than 6 minutes away from picking up a big conference win on the road. Sentnor maybe could have put her foot on it and tried to keep it, tried to get another number 4, try to just retain possession higher up the field, but instead that shot goes over harmlessly, and now UVA gets back on the ball again, but that's a wonderful step from Meza to win it.
That was a 5th shot for Sentnor, who does have the lone goal. Nobody else, if you're wondering, with more than a couple, and that's Oliaro, who has a pair of shots for UNC. Everybody else limited to a single look. So those 5 shots really jump off the stat sheet at you for Sentnor. Consider that Patterson, who we talked so much about coming in for this juncture, has just 1.
So there's the flip side to it. While Sentnor has the ability to score, and you never want to take away the freedom from your forwards to try to go and have an effort towards goal, but Meza understands going to the corner in that moment wastes a few more seconds. Now, the clock will stop here, and the argument from Carolina is they were trying to get their left back forward to take the throw into the corner, but that was an effort in which Sentnor was trying to knock it off to win a corner unsuccessfully. But this is good game management from Carolina to try to see this one out.
Tar Heels content to live in that corner right now with 4 and change remaining. A 1-0 contest. A sense of urgency there for UVA. Quick flip of the field for Virginia. And from right at the top of the box, fielded on a bounce by Emmy Allen, who smothers it.
That save is a lot more difficult than it may seem, because it's about getting your footwork right to be in the position, but then also reading the bounce as it comes off of this wonderful turf here at Klockner Stadium. Emmy Allen, though, that is textbook goalkeeping.
Cagle picking up her second shot alongside Una McCormick, the 2 for Virginia, among the 9 shots taken for UVA, who were responsible for more than 1. Inside 3 minutes remaining now. Mackey looking on as the throw-in comes in from Elgin. She's right in the heart of this collision. Virginia's Mackey, and here's our referee at the 2.5-minute mark, and precious seconds continue to roll as North Carolina content to take the time. Back to the corner. Sentnor again with a couple of Cavaliers working on her. Now making a trio. Theoret, who did the good work to drive it out of there, but now another minute having passed with 2 to go.
Yeah, that was really, really good from Sentnor. That is so difficult to do with 2 and 3 defenders on you, but that 30 seconds is 30 less seconds Carolina has, and it's a little bit more of a breather now before this onslaught towards the end of the game.
Boy, Carolina right off of a Tar Heel and back to Patterson here. Played long as 90 seconds remain, and Virginia looks for some late magic against the #1 team in the country. A turn by Cagle. She's down. The fans wanted something of it, but the Tar Heels dribble away with just over a minute to play. Well, you know, Jamie, this one had to be circled with what happened in Chapel Hill a season ago in the second half. And Virginia's win in the series. Just the 5th outright victory for the Who's all time. This had to be one of those on the minds of Tar Heel fans as North Carolina again with a deep breath moment at the half-minute mark here. As you see Virginia with Collier right there, but he can take a deep breath. All those wearing Tar Heel blue can take a deep breath as he tells Emmy Allen to take her time, and the final 10 seconds roll off the game clock. A late push for Virginia, but again, a game that had to be circled on the schedule to some degree for North Carolina, executed well by the #1 team in the country as